our role as parents to actually have some separation and be able to be the supportive parent. And you can't be the supportive parent if you're completely enmeshed in that feeling that your child is having.
Obviously, you're going to have crazy days. I know you agree with me that days are not always balanced, right? I mean, especially in the last 8 months, you can't always have balance. And, you sign up for the crazy and maybe even like the crazy a little bit too. So would you say?
Probably. I think I've always ascribed to the idea that you can't have that philosophy that you're only as happy as your happiest child, or you will always be unhappy if you have a lot of kids. So, I mean, you have 4 kids, I have 3. And I think it's our role as parents to actually have some separation and be able to be the supportive parent. And you can't be the supportive parent if you're completely enmeshed in that feeling that your child is having. So, I think that it's definitely been a test for all of us just being home so much and being together so much. And I feel so badly for my kids just because what an unnatural childhood they're having. I mean, I know your kids are a little bit older, but my kids are 10, 13, and 14, and one of them started high school on Zoom and one started in new school on Zoom. And it's just a very unusual time. So I think that this period of time has posed certainly enormous challenges for all of us. But I also think that, thank God, I have something other than monitoring my kids' homeschool.
Yeah.
Because I think that you can even just see, I have 3 fairly independent children. And I think part of that is because they have 2 parents who are running companies and are not going to be there all the time. And I think that's helped them in many ways get through this period with a little more ease maybe than they would have. So, I mean, I'm a big believer in saying yes over saying no and inviting more opportunities into your life. And I think that makes for a more fun, richer life. Does it mean that you're going to drop balls often? Hell yeah. But I would rather have a really fun, big life with balls dropped than have a, perfect confined life.
Yeah. And I think I've shared this with you before that as they get older, I think that they'll have stories and they'll remember things about you trying to take on big industries. And, as one teacher said to me a couple of years ago, that one of my kids explained perfectly the money raising process and the difference in this class that they were talking about, private equity versus venture versus preferred stock versus common stock. They're like, how did they learn this? And I'm like, because they're sponges, right? And so they sit in my house and they overhear conversations and, they actually become smarter. I don't know if they're going to be entrepreneurs or not, but I don't think that they will fear it as other people.
Well, no. And by the way, it's inspirational. I mean, I think it's so great for all of our kids, boys and girls, to see a powerful mom who's working and also being a loving parent. I think that's such an important thing for them. When they grow up, they'll probably grow up to have more egalitarian relationships and choose partners that are also, believing in them because they've seen us do that. And so I think that's really, really important. I always share my work with my kids. You alluded to the radio show I used to host that was a call-in radio show, and people would call with their problems every week. And I would always spend Thursday night or Tuesday night, I think the show was on Tuesdays, and I spend Tuesday night at the dinner table and I would tell everyone, I would, G-rate the problem and tell everyone the problem. And I would give each child a chance to say how they would have solved that problem.
That's awesome.
They all participated and they would have age appropriate responses, but it was completely fascinating. And just the other night I was trying to solve Halloween and because there's no trick or treating and it's such a bummer. And so I said, why don't we have the ultimate candy trading game? And I thought what could be more fun than candy trading? That sounds fun to me. I would like to be part of a candy trading game. And my 10-year-old is like, do you realize if you have unlimited candy, then there is no value to the currency? And I was like, oh, good God, I give up.
That is hysterical.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I just thought it'd be fun to have a Snickers for for Milky Way.
No, and that's what you create. My son started doing DoorDash and he wanted some extra money and wanted to buy some shoes. And I told him, you have to start making money and then you can have really fancy shoes like that. And so he signed up to do DoorDash and he started doing DoorDash. And what he figured out after a week was that there's certain nights that are definitely better than other nights. Okay. And then he figured out that there's certain areas. We live in Marin County, but not every area has a lot of larger homes. And so what he realized is that the larger homes are where there's more kids. And so they get paid minimum like 10% on every ticket, right? And so he said, when you have lots of bedrooms in the house, then you also have a higher ring. So your likelihood of being able to actually, get at least 10% and maybe more. And then the other thing is that if they're neighborhoods with younger kids, that actually going out at 5:00 to get the kids fed before you ultimately have dinner is like this whole thing. So I love that he's actually like researched it and tried to figure out like patterns,
how to work the system
and customers and stuff. And so I'm totally intrigued by this. And by the way, I think like there's no like reason why anyone can't make a little bit of money, like just after hearing about this DoorDash, as long as you have a car.
Yeah, and with Park Place, you don't even need the car.
And you don't even need the car. There you go. Right. And you can, but anyway, I'm fascinated by, you'll see as your kids get a little bit older, how they're learning along the way. And anyway, I love this.